Continuing for this last hour. The last hour was intended to focus on migrants and what can be done for their situation in our cities and countries. I'm going to do it the other way around than what Moshe was your name, has been doing. So I'm going to start with some video and some testimonials.
Good. Last year, I was given in Belgium, in the city of Ghent, an impossible task. They gave me the worst neighborhood, not only of Ghent, but all of Flanders. There are extraordinary densities of population, 23,000 per square mile. More than about half of the population is first generation. A good deal are illegal, and there are 20 languages, including the main one actually is Turkish. So we're talking of what they call a problem or a difficult neighborhood. And the question is, can we create that as a nice neighborhood to live in where people say hello to each other, and which is greening, which is one of the priorities of the city. Starting point was to ask what they want, and the answer was a little garden. So here's what it looks like. Now, these little gardens are available only for rent. But for rent in a special currency called the toruke. And these toruques can be used to buy, among other things, low-energy lamps and stuff like that, which is the city wants to promote, and is rent for these little gardens. The consequence has been, how do you earn this toruques? Sorry. Well, one of the things you need to do is clean up your neighborhood and keep it clean. And the second thing you need to do is plant stuff in other parts. And they do that. And the consequence has been the city has had more volunteers than they knew what to do with. Okay? Now, for the same euro budget, they have, at the smallest scale, which is the pilot now, 3 times more results, and at the scale where it can be expanded, that we're planning on it, 20 times more results. Second solution, realizing dreams.
On the scheme we started in Ghent, it's called Toruques. Now, because we're focusing on specific target groups, I'm not going to explain too much about the whole system. It's similar as what has been explained by others. I'm just going to give you some testimonials about some of the target groups we're trying to reach with this scheme. And it will take me some time to...
We zijn in 2000 met een aantal onderzoek...
Just go to the right moment. So it's a documentary on research that has been carried out on the toruque system in Ghent recently. Dutch, but it's subtitled. It's working and people come together and deliver their service and participate in the system. I'm just going to be a bit further, because the whole documentary takes more than half an hour. I'm not going to do that, but just take a few items from it that are relevant for my presentation afterwards.
Oorspronkelijk was het vooral Turkse mensen. Er zijn heel veel mensen ook die een ziekteuitkering krijgen. Er zijn mensen die bijvoorbeeld enkel en alleen pensioen leven. Er is nu een grote toestroom ook bij ons hier in het project, namelijk de Bulgaren en de Koerdische madammen ook nu. En dat is waarschijnlijk zo het succes van ons project.
Wat ga je doen?
Inschrijven.
Voor?
Om te werken. Allee, als je samenwerkt en zo.
This is also an important element of it, because here the people have to register.
En dan om 1 uur komen ze hun torentjes ophalen die ze verdiend hebben. Omdat we moeten dat bijhouden ook omdat alles valt bij een vrijwilligerswetgeving, dat wij later kunnen nagaan hoeveel uren dat de mensen gewerkt hebben.
And this shows where we had to fight with the legal system and try to comply with the legal system. Now some testimonials about people who have been working in this system or in this scheme. Hear about and what the positive results are of what we've been doing over the last 4 or 5 years.
En komkommers en daar verder tomaten.
So you see similar activities as what's been going on in the time banks and others. To be clear, this is not a time bank; it's operated by the city, actually.
Mooi initiatief.
But the results we have is a person like this.
Ik was even buiten de maatschappij. Ik was ziek geweest en ik moest resocialiseren. En ik heb op internet, op de site gevonden, dat er site bestaat. En dat was iets gelijk volkstuintjes, wat ik zocht.
Ik ben hier jaren geleden als vrijwilliger begonnen. Ik heb namelijk een periode op straat geleefd. En vandaar, de nachtopvang was vroeger hiernaast, was ik vrij snel in contact met de site. En ik heb gebruik gemaakt van het feit dat ik hier kon werken, om mezelf stilletjes aan uit de miserie te werken. Ik was een zwerver, dus ik had een grotere baard dan nu, en wilder haar dan nu, en een grote rugzak en vuile kapotte schoenen en een geurtje waarschijnlijk. Ik had die torentjes en dat heeft ervoor gezorgd dat ik niet hoefde te gaan stelen, laten we maar eerlijk zeggen, of bedelen.
Ben buraya zorla gelmiyorum. Vakit geçirmek için ve ekim dikmeyi sevdiğim için yani bu yüzden geliyorum. Ya değilse hiç zaman geçmiyor. Dedim ya az da olsa yani çoluğumuza çocuğumuza katkı oluyor. 10 torotus da olsa, 8 torotus da olsa eve giderken 2 tane ekmek alıp gidebiliyorsun, bir koli su alıp gidebiliyorsun. Bu da çoluk çocuk için yani az da olsa bir gelir olmuş oluyor.
So I think this is just showing some of the results, some testimonials. I'll now run through a presentation and just focus on those elements that relate to the question of how to integrate a migrant population in, here specifically, the city of Ghent. So just find the button to start presentation. Yeah.
It's here. Down, here. This one.
Yeah. Here, that's the one. Okay. So it's also in Dutch, but I'm only going to say a few words on the things that are marked red. Why did they start over there? That's what Bernalita was explaining, because there's a whole series of problems they had in that specific neighborhoods, and one of them is the ethnic diversity of it. Lots of migrants coming from Turkey, afterwards also from Bulgaria, the Kurdish population, and they themselves it doesn't go well between Turkish and the Bulgarians, for example, but if they start working together in these garden plots, then it works quite well. So that's one element. That's a specific need. The capacity is, of course, cultural diversity. And that's how the neighborhood looks. There's a specific website explaining the whole system, but it's not used too much by this population. Contrary to what has been shown before, the time banking system, etc., this is a currency system with euro convertibility. The people who are owning the the Turkish currency, cannot exchange it for currency, but they can earn some Turkish. And here it already comes in conflict with the fact that earning a Turkish, which is equivalent of a certain amount of euro, the question is it labor or not? And there we had to discuss with authorities, and we have specific legislation on voluntary work, which allows us to, and here you see the amount, up to 1,300 euro on an annual base can be given to people doing some voluntary work. That's the Belgian situation. Some of the goals of the whole scheme, which was introduced by the city of Ghent, there's a lot of things, activation, participation, etc., but also the intercultural relationship, so how to integrate migrant population was one of the goals. So it's not a scheme that's only focusing on that, but it's one of the focuses. It was operational since 2010, and here you see the amount of Turkish. The maximum was 250,000 on an annual base, and you also see that it's stabilizing. That's one of the challenges also. This was the maximum amount that could be put in the scheme. Turkish is 10 euro cent, so 20,000 euro on an annual base was the maximum budget allowed to be used in this scheme. And here you see the amount of people engaged in it. So on the maximum it was almost 400. Nowadays it's around 200 people working on a voluntary basis in the scheme, and a certain amount of shops integrated in it. So the strength of this scheme, this currency scheme, was that it indeed could reach these specific groups. Now here focused on migrants, but it's not only migrants, it's a lot of people. It could also engage people for a long term, so it's long-term engagements that we reach, and it also created solidarity between these specific groups. That's, I think, important strengths. There's another things we thought are strengths of this, the system, but it doesn't relate specific to these groups. A weakness of the scheme was that the image of this currency was perceived as a currency for the poor, or currency for the migrants. So that's something we try to counter, but it's not easy to do. Another maybe weakness, or here it's called an opportunity, is that we try to make more circles. I mean, I explained that we had a budget of 20,000 euro that can be exchanged because Turkish are being earned at a specific moment, doing some gardening. The people earning these Turkish, specifically if it's the migrant or poor people, they do not want to use these Turkish to go to someone else, say, deliver me some service. No, these Turkish all end up in a shop. They buy some, they go to a grocery store, buy some bread, buy something. That's also the limitation of these schemes. And what we try to do is to find other loops or other circuits where the Turkish could circulate more before going out of the scheme